Hi, welcome back to Future Fast. And we have a very interesting guest today. But before I introduce my guest, I would, for those of you who are here for the first time, Future Fast is an effort to bring people who are doing things which are bound to have an impact on the future and hopefully positive. And also, we try to understand what they see as an opportunity or possible threats for the future and how are they addressing. And this effort should give us some tips that we could potentially apply in our own businesses or life. That's the whole idea of doing this Future Fast, and I hope you're enjoying it. And if you're here for the first time, hope you will enjoy this conversation as well. And jumping straight into the conversation, today we have Christy Fernandez. Christy Fernandez is a founder and CEO of Surya EV. By the name, I'm sure you figured that it is something to do with electric vehicle. And beyond that, we will hear it from Christy. Christy, welcome to Future Fast.
Thanks, Nanjinda, for having me. Happy to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much for making time. So, Christy, how did can you share about your journey from being a professional to, and that too, I think you started off in marketing and sales, and from there to entrepreneur, and you've done various things. You're a serial entrepreneur. So, can you please share what got you to first to become an entrepreneur to start?
Yeah. So I started my career selling computers, computer hardware and software. It was the very early days of computers. So it was disruptive when computers came into the country. So every time I sold a computer, someone lost their job, a clerk or or an accountant or someone lost their job. So it was painful. At the same time, we knew that it was transformative. So I mean, now I've come into the electric vehicle space, and I'm facing a similar situation where the legacy automakers, many of them are losing their jobs, and then there are new jobs created in the electric vehicle space. I started selling computers, and early days of computers, of course, was DOS, and then slowly Windows came in, and then it progressed to graphics, and that's what caught my attention: computer graphics, desktop publishing, CAD/CAM, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, video editing, sound editing, multimedia. And so I was there and selling computers for about 7 years, and computers were becoming more and more powerful, and it was becoming more and more multimedia. And that's where I saw an opportunity for multimedia presentations, especially from large corporates. It was an unmet demand in the market. So, and because I was kind of, at that point of time, really obsessed with technology and multimedia and, things like that, I got into offering multimedia as a service for companies. Only large companies could afford multimedia at that point of time. It was very expensive. So I got to deal with a lot of large.
So
companies.
when you say multimedia service, it was what, some kind of a corporate videos or 3D videos and such?
Yeah. So I was talking about multimedia presentations, both interactive and non-interactive.
Okay.
So these were tools that were used to market their product. So one of my clients, for example, was Ashok Leyland, and they made use of an interactive presentation to market their buses and trucks abroad for their export markets. So many of these large corporates use these multimedia presentations when they went abroad for export business. So when they went for exhibitions and things like that. So it was very interesting because I got to meet a lot of corporates. I got to visit a lot of factories. I think I have a very unique experience of having been in so many different types of businesses, factories, knowing the insights of a lot of businesses, because we had to shoot a lot of video, we had to understand the product, we had to understand their process, their systems, their services. And most often we were also, given a challenge, a marketing challenge or a sales challenge. It was very interesting, in those early days of multimedia, work. But like
Well,
in India,
it's a domain typically of an agency, right?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So
So,
normally large advertising agencies are supposed to take care of it, but
right.
large advertising agencies were not very good with technology. So
Okay.
that gave me an opening into a lot of these large corporates. So we went in with a very niche service of multimedia and web. So those were two domains which large agencies were not familiar with, were not equipped with. So we also worked with them. We also worked directly with clients. So that was a good opportunity. It was also a very niche opportunity. But like everything that happens in India, over a period of time, the value drops. A lot more people come into the play, and then customers are not able to differentiate quality. We were always at the higher end in our quality, in our service, and also on pricing. So over a period of time, we realized that customers were not able to differentiate. So and agencies were also not able to offer a complete solution. So we got into offering the full-fledged services. So then I moved into running a full-fledged advertising agency. So, but again, focus more on the marketing technologies. So we didn't focus much on the regular print ads and TVCs, though we did that, but we didn't get into media buying. But we offer a more comprehensive solution. But there, what we did was we focused on a few verticals, a few segments of the market. So real estate was one big segment for us at that point of time. The entertainment was another big segment for us. And of course, the automotive market is always, a big market in Chennai. Chennai is known as the Detroit of Asia. So there's a lot of automobile companies over there, right from Caterpillar. And we did quite a lot of interesting work for a lot of companies over there.
What got you into EV? How did you get into EV?
Yeah. So while we ran this advertising agency, and again I ran it for many years, we started dabbling in the new technologies that were happening. So I've always been kind of ahead of the curve. I've always been, getting into new technologies, so we got into creating IPs. There was this big buzz about IPs at that point of time. Portals coming up, and so we launched Bazaar, which was a marketplace for brands. This was pre-e-commerce, mobile smartphones and things like that. We got some good traction. We got some good media coverage for Bazaar. It was BUZZAR. Then from Bazaar, we moved on to creating a microblogging website. I mean, a portal. It was again before the mobiles really came into the space, called Moodler. So Moodler was a microblogging platform, which was slightly better than Twitter at that point of time. So we started with emoticons. Emoticons were not very common at that point of time. So we said that before you message anyone, you choose an emoticon. So whether you're happy, sad, angry, whatever it is, and then we gave a mood graph. So in your network, you'll know how many of them are happy, how many of them are sad, how many of them are angry, or how many of them want to go and watch a movie, or how many of them want to, go out and eat something. So we kind of had emoticons for all of that. That also caught many people's attention. We got signups globally, but we were again ahead of the curve.
Which year was this?
Don't ask me for years. I'm kind of muddled up a bit with all the years.
Early 2000 or something.
Yeah. Right. So we did also then create content. We were one of the first to launch a web series called Ram and Riya. So very, very early days. I don't know whether I can mention names, but one of the large IT companies was interested in sponsoring this entire content that we created. But it didn't go through it. It had to go through many geographies, and they didn't understand the content very well. But again, we were ahead of the days, and we also, like I told you, at that particular point of time, we dabbled in quite a few things. We also tried to come out with a tablet device called ViewBox, which was a device that you could place in your vehicle, in your car, where you could use it for navigation and play music and things like that. And it's a content device. You can take it out and you can use it for content. So
basically, it has only say a motherboard and the hard disk, no screen. So screen is an external device you can plug it into.
It was a tablet device. It was a
tablet itself.
It was a tablet. But this was before the iPad was launched.
Right.
So then when we saw the iPad was such a sleek little, device, and it was so good that we knew that we couldn't compete at that space. But we were not looking at the higher end of the market. We were looking at the mid-range. But unfortunately, at that point of time, the government also announced a tablet device called Akash or something like that at a very, very low price point.
Right.
So then we realized that, it's not going to work in the market. We also realized at that point of time that it's difficult to get automakers to adopt anything into their vehicle. It's a very long life, cycle span before you can get any product, authorized by the automakers to fit into the other vehicle. So that was an eye opener. That was a good learning for me, which I know, is also helping me in my current business. So I also dabbled in entertainment technologies. We tied up with a UK-based company for motion capture technologies. We also dabbled a bit in real estate. We tried to build a digital entertainment zone similar to the software economic, special economic zones or the software parks. We tried to build a digital entertainment zone along with a real estate company. So we partnered, with a few companies. We tried many things. Things didn't work out the way we would like it.
I'm just curious, what happened to that web series you made?
The web series, it was, we put it out there. It's still floating around somewhere, I think, if you go and search for it.
On YouTube, is it?
Yeah, Raman, yeah. And, but it was very difficult to monetize it at that point of time. The market was still not ready for it. We had one large sponsor, but that didn't work out. So and of course, without smartphones, I think we were the pre-smartphone era. So getting the timing right, I think, is very important. What I learned from all these ventures is the fact that if you don't get your timing right, it's not going to work. We are always wanting to be the first in the market, and we were the first in the market, including in marketing technologies, where you talk about augmented reality, virtual reality. We work with large corporates. We created products and solutions and things like that. But we are always ahead of the curve. So most of the things that I did during that space was, a lot ahead of the curve. It was very exciting.
Very self-gratifying, but
absolutely. Absolutely. It was very exciting. Lots of things that we did at that point of time. At that point of time, I had black hair. I was much younger. And I remember we went to one of the large VCs for one of our IPs. I think it was Bazaar at that point of time. And the advice they gave us was get someone with gray hair on the team. Because at that point of time, the trend was that you need to have people with gray hair on the team. So we went and got a person with gray hair. And the other advice they gave us was, don't worry about profits, only focus on growth. But we were a company that was always growing year on year and profitably growing, and we're plowing all the money back into the company. And then suddenly we had to deal with this new concept of, grow at any cost, but don't worry about profits. And we experimented. I mean, I had black hair, but now I have gray hair. So now I know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, all the codes of our learning start showing here. Wonderful. So apart from the trying to be ahead of the curve and wanting to be one of the earliest to do something new, what was the trigger? There could have been n number of things. Why EV?
Yeah, that's a good question. So so over the period of time, I think my hair also started turning gray, and then I realized that I need to do something which has a bigger impact. So for me, it was technology was something that was very exciting for me. Branding and marketing, of course, was again very exciting. Cutting edge technologies, disruptive technologies, all of these are very exciting for me. And but I was also looking for impact. And then when I saw electric vehicles coming into the market, I realized that it is going to disrupt the entire automotive industry. So that was one tick for me: disruption. So when there is disruption, there's an opportunity for new players to come into the market. Otherwise, it's very difficult for a new player to come into the market. For example, when I started off, large advertising agencies were there, multinational agencies were there. But there was technology that was coming in, and I was able to make an entry into the market. So whatever we did, we actually entered the market when there was disruption. So I saw that there was a big disruption happening in the market, in the automotive world. I also saw that it would have a big impact when it comes to climate, because you can finally do away with fossil fuels. Everyone knows that fossil fuels is very polluting, but we thought that there is no other choice, there is no other option. But with electric vehicles, I realized that we can actually also have a positive impact with climate. Renewable energy was also making its presence felt. Prices of renewable energy was falling, and it was becoming very competitive in the market. So I also put together this the fact that renewable energy can be produced anywhere. India is a huge country. India is predominantly a rural country. So a lot of rural folk can actually get gainfully employed by harvesting renewable energy along with their crops. Charging batteries. These batteries can go into vehicles, which is a big market, and also it can go into powering homes and small businesses and things like that. So for me, this concept of swappable batteries, recharge using solar energy, is what actually caught my fancy. At that point of time, I didn't think of getting into electric vehicle space. So I wrote about this idea about swappable batteries. I branded it as Swappable Solar Recharge Battery, SSRB. And I wrote about this concept to one of the large automakers, and they had taken over an electric vehicle company. And so some of my mail went through, and then I got connected to the CEO of the electric vehicle company, and I passed on the information that I had, but nothing happened for a very long time. And then I was getting itchy that this is a solution that we can bring to market, but if large players are not going to focus on it, then let me get into it. And the technology was improving, and electric rickshaws were coming into the market. So at that point of time, I said that that's the kind of electric rickshaws that were coming to the market are not well built. I said that's something that can be easily designed, better designed and engineered and built. So I said, let me get into this space.
This was, you were still in Chennai, or you had already moved?
Yeah. This I was still in Chennai. But then, being coming from a very strong branding and marketing, background, I realized that at the bottom of the pyramid, they're not going to pay a premium for good design. It's always going to be very, very competitive at that particular space. And at the same time, there was another technology disruption that was happening, which was autonomous vehicles, robotaxi. So that caught my fancy. Then I saw, okay, this is going to be a very big leap in technology. It can transform the industry quite a lot. And at that point of time, Singapore had a testbed facility for autonomous vehicles.
Oh.
So I said, okay, let me get to Singapore and see what's happening. So I came over here. I did a test drive in an autonomous vehicle. It was very early days, 6-7 years ago, very, very early days. But there were quite a few autonomous tech vehicle companies here in Singapore. And what I noticed was all of them are focused on the tech, but they're not focused on the vehicle. So, and if you look at the vehicles that autonomous companies were looking at, were shuttles. It was a very, easy to kind of
point-to-point pickup.
Yeah. So they were basically, low-speed vehicles, like a shuttle, like a minivan. So I said, okay, let me focus on the vehicle and partner with a autonomous tech company to build it. And partner with them. But I also realized that that the autonomous tech is going to take many more years before it can it can come to market for a few reasons. One was that autonomous tech, of course, the tech can be built. Of course, there were early days, but I knew that technology will always improve. I've seen it happening with computers, and I realized that it can very quickly move up. The bottleneck I realized was that you need to have supporting infrastructure. And that's an area without government support, it's not going to happen. Because today, the entire road infrastructure is meant for vision. It's meant for human eyes. And, so you have the stoplights and things like that. Whereas if it is a robo vehicle, machine language is much better to communicate rather than a visual medium.
Good.
So to have all that additional infrastructure where machine to machine, communication can happen instead of a visual medium, all of that is going to take a long time. But I felt that it can happen, might be in confined spaces, might be in geofence spaces and things like that. But it's not going to happen in the mass market. And being in Singapore, I also visited quite a few countries around, and I realized that this demand for last mile mobility is huge. In India, of course, I've seen it. The shared autos and auto rickshaws and a lot of last mile vehicles are coming into the market. Many of them were built in small garages before the large players came into the market with slightly better designed vehicles. But if you go to Philippines, you have the jeepneys. Again, it's built in garages, small garages, where they take an old diesel engine and then they build a chassis around it and it flies on the road. There are about 100,000, 200,000 such vehicles, which the government wants to, change from that to electric vehicles, but they don't have the right vehicle in the market at the right price point. You go to Cambodia and Vietnam, you'll find a lot of last mile happening with a bike and a carriage on the side. They call it trikes. If you go to Thailand, of course, you have the tuk-tuks, which are similar to India. And all the markets have a need for last mile mobility, but there is no good solution for it. At the same time, the ride-hailing operators, whether it is Uber or Ola in India or Grab or Gojek over here in the ASEAN region, they were beginning to also offer ride sharing. But again, they were using a passenger car for ride sharing. So it was not built for ride sharing. And when I look more deeply, I realized that there is no vehicle purpose-built for a fleet segment. The only vehicle built as a taxi is the London Black Cab. But apart from that, most places, they use a passenger car as a taxi, and it is not very efficient. I also did a small consulting stint with a company that was starting up, in the ride-hailing space. And I realized then that, the vehicles do not have any tech built into the vehicle, which will serve the purpose of a ride-hailing operator who's using a lot of technology. Okay. So the ride-hailing operator is dependent on a mobile phone, which is there in the vehicle. And if the mobile phone is switched off, you don't know where the vehicle is. And a lot of data is only,
vehicles also carry GPS, right?
No, vehicles don't have inbuilt GPS. So the vehicles, so all the ride-hailing vehicles are all dependent on a mobile phone.
Oh.
And if you want to fit a GPS into the vehicle, then the manufacturer says your warranty is void. So if you want to tap into the OBD port and pull out data from the vehicle directly, again, that's not possible. So it is an inefficient way of operating a tech business, ride-hailing, ride sharing.
So right, true.
So the need, the need for a purpose-built vehicle then grew a lot more. So I realized that a lot more efficiency can be brought into the business if you have a plug-and-play kind of a vehicle.
So while you had moved from Chennai and you were basically doing all this research out of Singapore.
Yeah. So to be honest, I didn't expect all of this to take so many years. Because when I first started off, I thought that it wouldn't take me much time to get a better vehicle design for a better electric rickshaw designed. Right. There's not too much of work to be done in that space. But then when I moved away from that, then I looked at autonomous vehicles. Then it became a little bit more complicated. And then when I looked at the fleet segment, the ride hailing, the ride sharing segment, the shuttle services, it became a lot more complicated. So while the demand has been increasing, there is one bottleneck which has taken me a very long time to solve, and that is the charging downtime.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are
I do want to dig more on the charging side of it. I want to ask you, what is it that you're doing now that you think will help you in future, from a point of being future ready? Because coming from, you shared your journey where most of the time you are ahead of the curve, so effectively ahead of the time. So now that you clearly come from a point which you also stated that timing is so crucial. So what is it that you're doing now which you think will help you in future in being just about ready for the time?
So timing is very important,
Right.
but you also have to plan and budget for the time. And honestly, if I knew it was going to take so many years, I might not have even gotten into it. But once I get into it and I saw the opportunity, and then I was also purpose driven because I knew the kind of impact that this venture would create in society, the environment, the climate. And I also knew that we needed to battle a lot with vested interests who were not wanting a fast progression of electric vehicles into the market. It was very challenging, but it was also exciting. And I would say it is also, if you're driven by purpose beyond your immediate needs, then you're willing to sacrifice a lot more to kind of achieve that purpose. So looking back over the last 5 years, I know that I have moved the needle a little bit towards electrification of transport. I know all the battles that I have, had to go through to kind of move the needle a little bit in this direction. It's what we're doing now is that we know where the industry is going. Okay. Let me just go back a little bit. What excited me about the computer world was also the vision that Apple had about the future of computing.
Right.
There's a nice, interesting video that they came out with, which showed the future of computing, where you could just talk to a tablet device and that device would do everything that you wanted and things like that. I don't recollect the name of that entire campaign of theirs, but that was like was mesmerizing. And looking back after almost now 30 years, I would say, Apple has still not achieved that vision. We have gotten there in bits and pieces. The tablet devices come in, voice, controls have come in, the video has come in, video conferencing things have come in, but it is not totally integrated like the way Apple envisaged it. Now, of course, AI is coming in and things like that. So it might take another 10 years before the vision that Apple had, is going to be realized. But that was what captivated me. That is what got me excited about it. Likewise, in this mobility space, what has captivated me, what is futuristic is a futuristic scenario that Italdesign had come out with, along with Airbus and Italdesign. They came out with a futuristic mobility vision where they showed autonomous vehicles along with drones working in tandem, seamless transportation between road, air, and things like that. Now that's a good vision. I mean, of where the industry is heading. It's good if you can look it up sometime. It's called a pop-up or something like that. So for me, I know what the end space is going to be, at least 2040 or 2050 period. They would, of course, like to have it much earlier. I know that autonomous is going to happen. but so whatever we do, we are kind of future proofing it. We are not jumping into all the technologies immediately because those are lessons that I learned earlier. We are also looking at markets where these technologies will take longer to adopt, because it's also very expensive initially. So you can't afford to have these technologies early on. But there's a huge market opportunity today, for just last mile mobility. So it's like having a large market opportunity for feature phones. Smartphones were still some time away, before the internet bandwidths all increased and the prices dropped, and that's when smartphones came to the market. So likewise, if you want autonomous, then the infrastructure has to improve, including the internet, 5G or 6G or whatever it is also very important, besides other enabling infrastructure.
Singapore is on 5G for more than a year now, right?
Yeah. Singapore is an ideal place for autonomous vehicles to be enabled. I think the government is looking very closely at it. Teslas are today available. You can drive autonomous for some parts, at least on the highways. You can drive autonomous and things like that. It's going to take some more time before it's fully autonomous. But I think it would happen quicker in places like Singapore where rules are followed, infrastructure is good, than in places where rules are not followed and infrastructure.
Yeah. So, Christy, in your journey, who are the people who have influenced you? Because obviously, one thing is very evident is that you always been very curious about things. So that's what has kept you ahead of the curve, right? So, who's is that one person or people that you want to recount from those who have influenced you in shaping you to be the one you are today?
Yeah, so I've been an autodidact polymath, and this is a space that I really enjoyed. It's easy for me to grasp many subjects, many topics. The only subject that I'm not really too interested in is the medical field. But other than that, most of it is of interest to me. Two people who have influenced me. One would be my brother-in-law. He's a German. He ran a tourist company in Germany. What impressed me about him was that his commitment to his business, the amount of effort that he puts into the business, even at a very old age. So even in his 70s and all of that, he used to work long hours. He used to drive long distances meeting clients. So his commitment and effort into his business venture was something that is something that I really admire. He sometimes make me feel ashamed that I'm not putting in enough of effort like how we used to do it before. He passed away during the COVID period, but he really definitely, I think, had an impact on me because I come from a business family. So I'm a first-time entrepreneur. So he's the closest family who's in business, and his way of going about doing business was something that really struck me. As the commitment that he showed into his business, the effort that he puts in, the energy that he has, and the drive that he has, even at a very old age. People normally give up very early or they retire very early and things like that. So even though he was well off, he still had this commitment and drive towards his business venture. The other person who had an impact on me is actually my earlier business partner, Siddharth. I'm more of a black and white kind of a guy, before I met him, and then he kind of introduced me to, the nuances that are there. He's a creative guy. So creative guys see a lot more nuances. There are many shades of gray or many shades of many colors. And, so he introduced me also to spirituality and other aspects of life. So, I think he also had a good influence on me, of making me, look beyond just straightforward yes, no kind of a, black, white kind of a solution to a more nuanced solution, and looking at things a bit more holistically. I think life is a lot more than just working and then earning and then living and things like that.
Wonderful. So, Christy, are there books or podcasts that also have an influence that you like to read, what kind of a genre, and perhaps also make some recommendations to our listeners and audience?
Yeah. So again, I have to be a bit honest. I think I have not gotten used to podcast. I have not found that a routine or a time where I could actually, listen to a lot of podcasts. Though I find that there's a lot of interesting podcasts out there. I'm not being able to spend too much of time on that. I hope that I'll be able to spend a lot more time there. But when it comes to books, a few books have actually influenced me. One of them, when you talk about from a personal aspect, Inner Engineering by Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev of Isha Foundation was a book, and his teaching and his yoga practices and all of it is something that has influenced me quite a lot.
So do you still practice yoga? And
yeah, I practice in engineering. I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be in good health, physically and mentally. You should be able to take a lot of stress. You should be able to take a lot of negativity. You should be able to take a lot of issues, take the ups and downs.
So true. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you should be the biggest sponsor for yourself.
Yeah.
And it demands a lot of.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of effort to be an entrepreneur. For example, when things are going easy, good, okay, it's not too much of an issue. But when it goes bad, being able to go every day, open your office and try and make something happen, and then close your office at the end of the day, knowing that nothing much has happened, and then tomorrow again go and open the office and doing it day after day, it requires, I think, some inner strength that you need to have to be able to do it if you really want to succeed. Today, I see a lot of entrepreneurs giving up very quickly. Now even looking back, I don't think I ever lasted 5 years in a venture, just trying to build a product. I of course knew that, building an automobile, launching an automobile takes time. I knew it is a 5 to 7 year cycle before you launch a product in the market. But like any, entrepreneur that is always very, positive, you think that you can achieve it much quicker, and then you realize slowly that no, it's going to take a longer time than what you anticipated. And being able to, be motivated day after day, going after it. You need to be in good shape mentally, physically, and you also need to have a purpose that is much bigger than what were, your immediate family, your immediate, your immediate self. It has to be, a lot bigger than all of that. So that's what keeps me motivated. So this book is very interesting in the sense that it talks about how you can harness your energy and make use of your energy to propel yourself forward.
Oh, interesting. I think it's a very old book, right? I remember seeing it in so many places for so long, but I've never.
Yeah. It's an old book. It takes some time before you understand what's in it. So you need to be going back at it again and again, but of course with the practice and everything else, it is much quicker. But another movie that also caught my attention recently was this movie called 14 Peaks. I don't know whether you have seen it.
12 Peaks or
14 Peaks is 14 Peaks, the title. Mountain Peaks. Yeah, correct. The title is Nothing is Impossible.
I saw the title, but I've not watched it. Right.
Yeah. 14 Peaks, I think every entrepreneur should watch. It's about a Nepali guy who took up this challenge of climbing 14 peaks, all 8,000 meters and above, in 6 months or 7 months, 7 months time. Okay. Yeah. So and he said nothing is impossible.
It's more of a docu-film, is it?
Yeah, it's a docu-film. It's a docu-film. Okay. So basically, this movie showcases a lot of grit, a lot of determination, a lot of fearlessness. It also shows pride because he wanted to put Nepalese people in the map of mountaineering. because if you talk about mountaineering and climbing peaks, normally you get a lot of foreigners who have achieved it. And actually there have been a lot of Nepalis who have actually, been there along with a foreigner, but the foreigner gets the credit and the Nepali who's helping him get there doesn't get any credit. So he went out to, prove that, Nepalis are people who are capable of all of this, have been doing all of this. And, and without anything, it was actually an impossible, a vision of his, which he went about achieving it. So it's a very good movie, really motivating.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you. I've seen it, but I've never got myself to click and watch it. So I think I should do it this time.
Yeah, the title was interesting for me. Nothing is impossible, right. Because when I started off, people told me it is impossible. Right. So, and I also get excited by the word impossible. So if something is impossible, then I'm trying to see whether, can I make it possible? So when I started off, of course, it was, 99% impossible, 1% possible. Now I would say it is, at least 60%. I brought it to 60% possible and another 40% impossible, but it's, so I kind of changed the equation of from impossible, it has now become possible.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think that's a great line to conclude the personal journey from impossible to making it possible, and also you try to go about it in a very organic, structured way. You're not just forcing it, but you're building on it. So I think that's been the hallmark of most successful entrepreneurs also, right? That consistency, persistence in making it and keep going after it. But yeah, like you also said, that a lot of people today that fail fast is getting people to switch off fast, which somewhere they're missing out on the whole. I think what makes the whole journey exciting is not getting to the top, all the struggle of going up to that point. So I think that is what they're missing out in the whole process. So thank you so much for bringing it again.
Thanks.
So I hope you all enjoyed this conversation as much. And if you did, please go ahead and share it across your network. And particularly those who are entrepreneurs or who want to be entrepreneurs, I think this journey will be could be super motivating. And also those very interesting recommendations. And though I've heard of the book, I've never picked it up myself. So I'll honestly, I've also moved out of reading. My reading has come down to 2-3 books. So mostly I listen to it. So my biggest motivation will be first if it is available in audio format. So probably I'll check for that and I'll go with that. Once again, thank you so much. And till we meet again, enjoy the ride. And Christy, I'll reach you soon for our second part of the podcast.
Thank you.